My fiancée suddenly stood up in the middle of our wedding venue meeting and said, "I have to go. Right now." 5 minutes later, I got a message from her that left me in complete shock. I didn't reply to her at all. I just called the venue planner and explained everything. 3 days later, my phone was flooded with missed calls, from her and from her ex. I'm 32, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had my life figured out. Good job in tech sales, a house we were still paying off, and a fiancée I'd been with for 4 years named Catherine. We got engaged 8 months ago at a vineyard upstate. Nothing crazy, just intimate and real. Her family was there. My parents were there. It felt right. We'd set our wedding for next September, so we were in that planning phase where everything feels exciting but also exhausting. Catherine wanted a big celebration, about 120 guests, which honestly felt like a lot, but I went with it. She was happy, and that's what mattered to me back then. The venue meeting was scheduled for a Saturday morning at this upscale banquet hall downtown. We'd already narrowed it down to 3 places, and this one was supposed to be our final decision. Catherine had been obsessed with it all week. She'd shown me pictures, talked about the exposed brick, the natural lighting for photos, how their catering menu had vegetarian options. She was genuinely excited. Saturday came. We got there at 10 a.m. The venue coordinator, this older woman named Patricia, walked us through the space, showed us sample layouts, and we started going through the contract details. Catherine was sitting next to me taking notes, literal notes on a notepad, which I thought was cute. Very on-brand for her to be so organized about everything. About 30 minutes in, Patricia left us alone in the consultation room for a few minutes to grab some final pricing sheets. Catherine was still writing. I was scrolling through my phone. It was mundane, normal. Then her phone buzzed. She picked it up. Her entire body went still. I didn't think much of it at first. I glanced over, and she was just staring at the screen. No expression. White knuckles gripping the phone. "You okay?" I asked. She didn't answer. Just stood up abruptly and walked to the corner of the room, her back to me. She was reading something intensely. Her jaw was clenched. I watched her for maybe 10 seconds, trying to figure out what was wrong, and then she turned around and looked at me with this look I'd never seen before. Not angry exactly. More like panic mixed with resignation. Like she'd just gotten caught in something. "I have to go," she said quietly. "Right now? I'm sorry." "What?" "Catherine, what are you?" "I can't explain this here. I need to leave. I'll call you later." She was already heading for the door. I stood up, confused as hell. "Wait, what about the venue?" "What about?" "I don't care about the venue right now," she said, and she was gone. Patricia came back 2 minutes later with the pricing sheets and found me standing there alone. I had to tell her my fiancé wasn't feeling well and we'd need to reschedule. It was awkward and embarrassing. I called Catherine 3 times on the drive home. She didn't pick up. I texted her, "What the hell just happened?" About 45 minutes later, while I was sitting on my couch still trying to process the morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Catherine, but not the explanation I was expecting. "I can't marry you. I'm sorry. I know this is sudden. I'll explain everything when I'm ready, but right now I need space. I'm going to stay with my sister for a few days. Please don't call me." That was it. That was the message that left me in complete shock. I read it 5 times. Literally 5 times. My brain couldn't process the words in the sequence she'd written them. We were supposed to get married in 9 months. We had a house together. We had a dog together, a golden retriever named Benson that we'd adopted 2 years ago. We had plans. We had a life. And she'd just ended it with a text message in a restaurant consultation room. I didn't reply. I genuinely didn't know what to say. Nothing felt adequate. Okay felt like giving up too easily. Demanding answers felt desperate. So I just didn't respond. What I did do was call the venue. I explained to Patricia that I needed to cancel the space hold we'd been about to book. She was sympathetic but firm. If I wanted to cancel, I'd lose the deposit. I told her to keep it. I didn't want a reminder sitting in my email in the form of a refund pending. Then I did what I always do when things feel out of control. I cleaned. I cleaned my entire house. Kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, living room. I vacuumed. I did laundry. I took Benson for an extra long walk. Physical activity was the only thing that made sense. By Sunday morning, I was numb. Not angry yet, just blank. Catherine's sister, Diane, texted me. "She's staying with us for a while. Please give her space like she asked." That was when I realized this wasn't some impulsive panic attack she'd have by Monday. She was actually going through with this. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday passed in a fog. I went to work. I took meetings. I smiled at the right times during calls, and nobody knew that my entire world had just imploded. My manager asked if I was feeling okay because apparently I'd been quiet in our stand-up. I told him I had a cold. Easy lie. By Wednesday evening, my phone started blowing up. For missed calls from an unknown number. Then a text from that number. "This is David. Catherine's ex. We need to talk. Call me back." Then 5 more calls from Catherine's actual number. I didn't call either of them back immediately. Instead, I just sat there with my phone in my hand, staring at the notifications like they were going to explain themselves. David called again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the fact that I had nothing left to lose. "Hello," I said. Finally. "Look, I know this is weird, but I need to tell you something. Catherine's been. How did you get my number?" I interrupted. "Catherine gave it to me." "Look, that's not important. What's important is that she's been involved with me for the last 6 months. Before she broke up with you, before everything. We've been seeing each other since March." I felt something like vertigo, even though I was sitting down. "I'm sorry," he continued, "but I thought you should know. She's been lying to you. We've been meeting up. We slept together. Multiple times. And she's been telling me for weeks that she was going to leave you. But she was waiting for the wedding to get closer because apparently the guilt was easier to live with when it felt far away." My mouth was dry. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she's doing the same shit to me that she did to you. I just found out she's been seeing someone else too. Some guy from her yoga class. I realized I don't actually know this person at all, and I thought you deserved to know what kind of person you're actually with." I hung up. I sat in the dark of my living room for maybe an hour. Benson came and put his head on my lap, probably sensing something was wrong. I didn't move. I just stared ahead at nothing. Then I did what I probably should have done earlier. I called Catherine. She answered on the second ring like she'd been waiting. "Don't say anything," I said before she could speak. David called me. "I know about March. I want you to know that I know." There was a long silence. "It's not what you think," she said quietly. "Really? Because what I think is that you've been cheating on me for 6 months. That you've been planning to leave me for God knows how long. That you took me to a venue meeting, got a text about your affair, and decided that was finally the moment to end things. So please, Catherine, tell me what I'm thinking wrong." She didn't answer immediately. When she did, her voice was small. "I met David at the gym. It just happened. I wasn't looking for it. But then it was happening, and I didn't know how to stop it. And the more time went on, the more I realized I wasn't sure if I wanted to marry you anymore. And what? You needed to sleep with your ex to figure that out. We talked a lot. He made me feel things that I hadn't felt in a long time. With you, everything felt so planned, so safe. We do the same things, the same routines, the same conversations. And David reminded me that I'm not the person I was when I was with him. I was more spontaneous, more alive. More of a cheater, you mean? That's not fair. That's not fair." I laughed, actually laughed, even though nothing was funny. "Catherine, you've been lying to me for half a year. You've been sleeping with another man while we were planning our wedding. You've been playing house with me and Benson while essentially having a whole other relationship. And you're worried about what's fair. I know I messed up, but I need you to understand that this isn't just about David. He was just the catalyst. The real issue is that I don't think we're right for each other. I think I was just comfortable with you, and I mistook that for love. That was the hit that actually knocked the wind out of me. Not the cheating, not the lying. The fact that she was rewriting our entire 4 years together into some kind of convenience arrangement in her mind. You know what the worst part is?" I said, and I was honestly surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "The worst part is that if you just told me you weren't happy, we could have actually talked about this. We could have gone to therapy. We could have figured out if this was fixable or if we really weren't right for each other. But you didn't give us that chance. You decided to go behind my back, destroy the trust we had, and then make a big dramatic exit at a venue meeting. That's not brave, Catherine. That's just cowardly." "I know," she said, and she was crying now. "I know I'm a coward. I know I did this all wrong. But I can't undo it, and I can't force myself to feel something I don't feel anymore. I don't know what you want from me. I want you to tell me how we got here, I thought. I want you to tell me the exact moment you decided I wasn't enough. I want you to tell me all the times you lied to my face and felt nothing. I want you to explain how someone can wake up next to another person every day and just decide to destroy their entire life without actually having a conversation. But I didn't say any of that. What I said was, I want you to be honest with me about everything. No more half-truths. No more protecting yourself. If you're going to blow up our lives, the least you can do is explain why. And I want to know about the yoga guy too. There was a pause. How did you? David told me. So yes or no, Catherine? Is there someone else? It's not serious. We've been texting. We've hung out twice. Nothing physical happened, but I liked him. I liked the attention. I liked feeling like someone else could want me the way I wanted to be wanted. That was somehow worse than the affair with David. That meant she was already looking for the next escape route before she'd even fully committed to leaving me. We talked for another hour. She told me that she'd known for a few months that she wasn't happy, but didn't know how to say it. She told me that seeing David's name pop up on her phone at the venue had just crystallized everything. The realization that she was choosing between two versions of herself, and she'd picked the one that didn't include me. By the end of the conversation, I was exhausted, emotionally hollowed out. She asked if we could meet in person to discuss logistics, the house, the dog, the stuff we'd bought together. I told her I couldn't do that yet. I told her I needed time to process the fact that the person I thought I was going to marry doesn't actually exist. We hung up, and I finally let myself feel angry. Furious, actually. I called my best friend Marcus and told him the whole thing. He said things like, "You're better off without her," and "She's insane to throw away what you had." But those platitudes didn't help. What I was grappling with wasn't that Catherine had made a bad choice. It was that Catherine had made a choice that made it clear she'd never really chosen me in the first place. I spent the next week dealing with the administrative nightmare of a broken engagement. I had to figure out what to do with the house. We were both on the mortgage, so we couldn't just sell it quickly. I had to figure out who would keep Benson long-term. I had to cancel the wedding, which meant calling 120 people. Actually, my mom helped with that, and explaining that the wedding was off. I didn't give them the real reason. I just said we decided it wasn't the right time. Catherine moved back into the house 2 weeks later, but we weren't living together in any real sense. We were just two people existing in separate rooms, trying to figure out the mechanics of untangling 4 years of shared life. She tried to talk to me a few times about David, about whether I wanted to know more details, but I shut it down every time. I didn't need the play-by-play of their affair. What I needed was to not see her face every day as a reminder that I'd fundamentally misread who she was. The house sold 3 months later. We split the proceeds. Catherine moved in with David, which felt almost comical in its predictability. The yoga guy disappeared from her radar once David was back in the picture. Apparently, he really was just a distraction while she was deciding what to do about us. I kept Benson. Catherine didn't fight me on it. I think she knew she didn't have the moral high ground to ask for joint custody. Edit 1. A lot of people have asked what I'm doing now. It's been about 8 months since the wedding was supposed to happen. I've been in therapy, which has helped. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm just done. I don't hate Catherine. I don't even think about her most days. What I think about is the fact that I wasted 4 years on someone who was never really present. I think about all the small moments where I probably should have seen the signs. But I also think about the fact that you can't make someone want you if they don't. You can't make someone choose you. You can only choose yourself, which is what I'm learning to do.